Hi everyone, this is Creepy Casey, and this week's manner of death is homicide. Malcolm Hobbs was a 79-year-old man who lived alone in a farmhouse in North Berwick, Maine. He was a World War II veteran who loved being a farmer. That particular property of his had been in his family for a long time, and he had never left it. His friends and family described him as being a quiet man who was very happy and never bothered anyone. His life was grand until October 16, 1997, when he was found dead in a pool of blood near his front door by a concerned neighbor who had come to check on him. Police have kept a lot of details close to the chest about this case, but they do admit that Malcolm was most likely the victim of a burglary. The house next door, which coincidentally belongs to a relative of Malcolm's, was also broken into that same day. The Maine State Police also theorized that there was more than one culprit and that they were likely strangers to Malcolm. It's really hard to imagine that a little old man who had no enemies and never bothered anyone could be killed so senselessly. To this day, his case remains open. If you have any information about his case, you can contact the Maine State Police at 1-800-228-0857 if you're in-state, and 207-624-7076 if you are out of state. 60-year-old Louis Alexander and 59-year-old Joseph Cevich were partners in crime and infamous to Maine police. They both had extensive records and were wanted for burglaries in 1994, which was the last year that they were known to be alive. They were described as being con men who were in and out of jail for decades. No one even knew that they were missing until August 10, 1997, when a hunter found their remains in a shallow grave in Masardis, Maine. The medical examiner's autopsy showed both men were shot. Their deaths were ruled a homicide, but even with this information, police have not named any suspects to the crime. And because of the years spanning between their deaths to their discovery, a lot of evidence was lost to time. Their case remains open and could benefit from useful tips. If you have any information on Louis and Joseph's deaths, you can contact the Maine State Police at 207-973-3750 or 1-800-432-7381. I'd like to take this time to remind everyone that even though these men were by no means perfect, they are still victims and they deserve to have justice served. Ashley Ouellette was a 15-year-old girl who lived in Saco, Maine. Her parents described her as a normal teenager who liked to hang out with her friends often. She was, at least, until 4 a.m. on February 10, 1999, when a passing motorist found her body on Pine Point Road in Scarborough, Maine. Her cause of death was strangulation. But how did she get there? Apparently on the night before, of February 9, 1999, Ashley was supposed to spend the night at a friend's house. We know she was still alive at 10 p.m. because her parents received a goodnight call at that time. What happens after remains a mystery. Allegedly, some boys from their school came over from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. After that, someone killed Ashley. The boys who stopped by the friend's house were questioned by police, but there was no evidence that linked them to the murder. It has been over 2 decades, and Ashley's case remains unsolved. If anyone has information about her case, you can contact the Maine State Police at 1-800-228-0857 if in-state, and 207-624-7076 if you are out of state. Betsy Select was a 41-year-old woman who was walking along Route 202 in Lyman, Maine, late at night on April 20th, 1999, when she was hit by a car and killed. Police immediately suspected her boyfriend as potentially being the driver due to their documented history of domestic violence. A case was actually made for her boyfriend Raymond Wood, to go to court as he actually confessed to committing the crime. However, charges were later dropped as this was seen as a coerced false confession and was not enough evidence. Raymond Wood continues to declare his innocence and that he never physically harmed her or would want to. Since then, Maine State Police have yet to name another suspect in her case. Bessie's case remains open for the past 22 years. If you have any information about her case, you can contact the Maine State Police at 1-800-228-0857 if you're in-state, or 207-624-7076 if you're out of state. Helen Karen was an 84-year-old woman who died in an arson fire started in an apartment building on Ash Street in Lewiston, Maine on October 2, 2001. She was not deliberately targeted, but seemed to not be able to escape the blaze, which led to her death. Although people were questioned, no one has been arrested for this crime. Unfortunately, I could not find a source that talked about her personal life or what kind of a person she was. What I do know is that she should not have died in such a way and have no one face justice for it. If anyone has information about her case, please contact the Maine State Police at 1-800-228-0857 if you're in-state, and 207-624-7076 if you're out of state. 40-year-old Raymond Weed, also known as Butch, was a contractor who owned his own company in Wilton, Maine. He operated from his own home, which is where he was shot on December 23, 2003. He was discovered by friends at 7 p.m. that day when they came by to deliver Christmas presents. It is estimated that he was killed between 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., so just a few hours before he was found. His family is still very involved and outspoken about wanting to solve his case. There is a $10,000 reward available for information leading to an arrest and conviction for Butch's case. It's been close to 20 years since his death, and no arrests have been made. If you have any information involving Butch's case, you can contact the Maine State Police at 1-800-228-0857 if you're in-state, and 207-624-7076 if you are out of state. 65-year-old Alfred Blake, also known as Buddy, lived on Wolf Mountain in Moscow, Maine. He had various health issues and had a home health care nurse who would come to his residence to assist him. On September 15, 2003, he was discovered shot in his driveway by his nurse. His death was ruled a homicide by police. Upon investigating his house, it was determined to be torn apart, potentially because of the amount of medicines he had for his illnesses. Unfortunately, I could find little else about Buddy or his case. It has been over almost 2 decades since he was killed, and his case still remains open. If you have any information about Buddy's case, please contact Maine State Police at 207-624-7143, or you can call 1-800-452-4664. 26-year-old Rafael Rosado III was a Puerto Rican American who worked in construction and was living in Biddeford, Maine when tragedy struck. In the early morning hours of June 9, 2004, a gunshot was heard. Several minutes later, Rafael was discovered deceased, face down on a street near the apartment where he was living. Little else has been released about his case, other than it is still an open investigation. I also could find very little about his personal life and how he was viewed by his friends and family. If anyone has any information about Rafael's case, please contact Maine State Police at 1-800-228-0857 207-0857 if you are in-state, and 207-624-7076 if you are out of state. 46-year-old Brian Allen, a Brooklyn native, was living in Orland, Maine, in a trailer he shared with his brother, Larry Allen. Their trailer was located just a short distance away from the GM Allen & Sons blueberry processing plant where they were both employed. The location for both places was on Front Ridge Road in Orland, Maine. On July 15, 2005, Larry discovered his brother's body in a bed suffering a gunshot wound. His death was declared a homicide, and an investigation was opened and remains open to this day. A neighbor told police he had heard a gunshot early in that morning and went outside to investigate. Once outside, he spotted a man hurrying away from the area. The only description he was able to give was that the man was tall. Brian was described as being really friendly. It has been over 17 years and Brian's case is still unsolved. If you have any information regarding his place, you can contact the Maine State Police at 207-973-3750 or 1-800-432-7381. Amy Drake was an 18-year-old woman who was a mother of a 2-year-old. She was from Skowhegan, Maine, and was known to be very outgoing. At some point, Amy began to abuse drugs and had started a toxic relationship. Her boyfriend actually assaulted her, and even after this, Amy continued to contact him. On September 20th, 2006, Amy's mother, Norma, reported her missing after not being able to contact her, which was unlike Amy. On November 24th, 2006, just 2 months after she was reported missing, her body was found by hunters a few miles out of Norwich Walk, Maine, along River Road. Amy's death was ruled a homicide, although police have not revealed her cause of death or any other information. Most speculate Amy's boyfriend at the time, Jason Forbes, allegedly played a role in her death, due to his ties to drugs and the previous abuse incidents. It's been 15 long years since Amy's tragic passing, and her child is now a grown-up, but without answers. If you have any information regarding Amy's case, please contact the Maine State Police at 207-624-7143 or 1-800-452-4664. Hey y'all, this is Creepy Casey. I just wanted to leave this video off with a note that I'm sorry. I didn't realize how repetitive it was to say the Maine State Police phone numbers at the end of each case, but I just wanted to be sure that you heard all the different ones because it varied a little from case to case, but I just wanted to apologize for that. And just to let you know, thank you for listening, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.